Last time we made this beautiful, absolutely wonderful, gorgeous desk. It's been nice having the extra desk space and all, but if I'm being honest, most of the messiness problems are still here. There's still random things laying around and nothing really has a dedicated place like we talked about in the last video. This video, we're gonna take care of that problem by zooming in on the immediate desk space area where the actual work happens. So like I said, there's still random things lying around. The temporaries and permanents are still mixed up. And I'm willing to bet that's because they still don't have a dedicated place to be and they are still lying wherever the moment calls for them to be, which is more often than not in the way of something else. And I think I have an idea of how we can solve this predicament, or at least part of it. But let's start by taking a closer look at the desk and see what we're actually dealing with here. So basically we got this stuff, right? Hard drives, cables, things that need to be pulled out and connected to the computer on a semi-daily basis. And at the moment they do have this kind of dedicated spot on the foot of the monitor here, and it kind of works. I mean, they're pretty easy to access. They're at an arm's reach. Is that how you say it? But the problem is that this is just way too cluttered still and too messy, and it just doesn't help me focus, you know? So I think what I want to do is make some sort of solution that keeps these things still accessible, but kind of hides them more from my line of sight, you know? And then there's another thing. Whenever I do something that doesn't have anything to do with the computer, I would like to be able to remove the keyboard and the mouse, like stow them away somehow, so that I can get more desk space for drawing or model making or whatever you want to do at a desk, you know? Alright, so here's what I'm thinking. If I could have some sort of like shelf thing where I can put the monitor on there, I can stow the keyboard in here and the hard drive and the cables and basically everything that goes underneath the monitor already could still be underneath the monitor, but at least in a more organized way. And then with this thing, I'm thinking some form of more permanent storage would be pretty nice to have, to like store things that you don't need very often. But for now, I'm actually going to focus on this more temporary storage solution. And then the next project could be more permanent storage. And then the next. And I think this could be a pretty easy solution, or like a simple build. Does that sound enticing to you? Can you tell that my glasses are like super dirty, by the way? Now at this very early stage of the design process, it doesn't really matter that the sketch is not like nice or presentable. I want to see what I'm thinking, and that's what sketching is for at this stage of the design process, for me at least. All right, let's do some modeling. I'm pretty tall, so I'm 190 and my partner is 152. So there's a pretty big difference between us. And in order for her to be able to use the monitor without looking like up, and me being able to use the monitor without looking down, which I don't really think is going to be a problem, I have to accommodate her needs in this situation, which is not making this thing too tall so that she's ergonomically disabled, basically. So that's one thing to take into consideration when I'm doing this. Alright, y'all, we're back. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with what I've got here. And I also checked with Kaisa about the height of the monitor. And let's take a look at the progression. So this is where I started. There's not much to say here. There is room for the keyboard and the mouse to go underneath the monitor. And there's obviously some room at the sides of the monitor as well to put things. And I think this one is a little bit too wide, maybe. So then I made another one, which is a little bit more narrow. And I also added this little apron back here to add some stability. And yeah, I don't know, not much to say really. In the third version, I actually added a second level, which I think could be really nice. You could put things in here and you can put the keyboard and the mouse at the bottom. It would be really nice to have two levels because then there's just more room to put things, you know? But the problem with this one is it's a little bit too high. So I tried to make it lower, and I think I found something which would probably work. So this is where I've landed. We got 2 levels, which is really good to put things all hidden in there, you know. There's room for the keyboard and the mouse. There's room for a lot of things, I think. And I also made these little feet because the sides of the other ones looked kind of empty. And I think it is good to have feet on there as well. There are 4 contact points instead of 2 long and wide contact points, which basically means it'll be more stable. And I think it does complement the desk pretty well. Got these rounded corners here. We got these little... I feel like this is one of those projects where I just want to get going and start making pretty much as soon as possible, because I really want to try this thing and see if it actually works. So I think I'm just gonna get going and build a prototype. But of course I'm gonna make a technical drawing for the same reasons I said last time. Should I make a montage or something? Okay, we got all the pieces cut to final dimension. Now it's time for joinery, which is gonna be pretty simple. I feel like this is a very straightforward build overall, but the most complicated parts are the legs, because they have basically all the grooves and all the weird shapes and stuff, so I think I might start with this one. Oh my god. For some reason I decided to do this joinery by hand, but it just didn't turn out very well. I don't usually use hand tools a lot. I'm more of a machine user, but this was a humbling experience. And I think I'm just gonna go back to using machines. And then maybe after school, since I won't have a workshop, I'll just have to learn the hard way to use hand tools. I will say it is really fun. It is a lot of fun using hand tools. It's just different. All right, let's make these grooves. I need to round these corners off so that it actually fits in here. But it looks like the groove is pretty much the perfect width, which makes sense because this is 8mm and this is 8mm, so it's looking good. I just gotta round the edges on the top and make the little legs here on the sides, and then we're pretty much ready to glue this up. Got the parts all finished. Now it's time to glue this thing up. I was not ready for how much a difference this was gonna make. I mean, I knew it was gonna be nicer, but this is like, wow. I feel like every desk should have this. I don't care what kind of desk you're using. A white desk? If you're like me and you've never had one of these things, but you do need your desk to be more tidy, you should either get one of these or make one yourself, because this is a game changer. All right, let's just see how long the honeymoon lasts with this one, but I gotta move on to the next piece of this project, which will be some form of hidden storage, probably using drawers. Now I'm having a lot of fun with this project. Okay, let me know what you think in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see what comes next. Like the video if you liked the video, and I'll see you soon.